What secret do you hide from your family and will take to your grave? I found out that I'm infertile when I was 17. All their jokes about what a time I might be wreck me. I grew up thinking I was part of the Zman and would train in the backyard swimming pool. My dad thought I was drowning one day because I held my breath underwater for so long, so he jumped in to save me. I was in like 7th grade. I never told my dad holding my breath for as long as I could was part of my mutant training. I never told them I thought I was part of the Zman because I didn't want the government to get involved. I don't get forced to work holidays. I volunteer to work them to get out of family dinners. I tried to commit suicide in the bathtub with my dad's shotgun when the fam jam was out, but I forgot the safety was on. Put it back in my dad's closet. And nobody ever found out. I'm better now though. I have a trapdoor below my room which I have slowly converted into a little nook, and I like to curl up there and play Animal Crossing sometimes. Everyone thinks that my husband died of cancer. But he was cancer free when he died. He beat cancer. But couldn't quit the OxyContin. Truth is, odd. I met my biological father and he is a lot like me. I've been forbidden from ever meeting the man since I was little. Why were you forbidden? I sold the PS4 I got for Christmas in 2013 to buy Christmas presents for them in 2014. The reason I got in my car accident was because I was reaching for Reese's peanut butter cups that fell off the passenger seat. That I don't actually have friends. I just go out and sit in the woods or go to the pizza place nearby and just wait. Then I come home at night and go to sleep. Edit. Whoa. I expected this to just disappear. Thanks so much to all of you for being really cool. I hate humanity a little less now. Got Steam? I'll play some video games with you. I suck at them though. Or if you play RuneScape, I have a ton of stuff and a decent account, we can go try some PVM. Edit RSN. Whoa. Threads like these make me realize how simple my life is. My oldest sister, who was put up for adoption, was a product of our pay when my mom was in college, around the same time she was stabbed. May or may not have been connected. Close bracket. My brothers don't know. My mom doesn't know I know. To make matters worse, my middle brother was accused of our pay in high school, which I'm fairly sure he did. And sees little problem with it besides an inconvenience from 2 girls he knew. I grew up in an alcoholic environment and became an addict myself. I will never tell my parents that I got a DWI and it's what led me to get sober. This is the kind of question I'd have fun with answering but can't. Because I found out recently that my family stalks my Reddit account. Privacy isn't something built into their repertoire. That my husband and I were married by a justice of the peace before the home wedding I insisted on. My mother wanted us to elope. But after she skipped my high school and college graduation, I was damned if I was going to let her slide out on the wedding. 2. So I had it in her house. It was a small ceremony. I paid for everything, including the post-wedding supper at a local restaurant. But you'd have thought I was killing her. Both she and my dad have passed. So now I can tell the world. Edited to add, we had to be married before the Navy would station us together. Why on earth would you want your mother at your wedding when she couldn't be bothered with anything else important? Everyone loved my great aunt. She was a great woman with a huge heart. An honest Christian woman. An absolute saint of a nurse who would sacrifice anything for friends and family. She also sexually abused me for well over a year when she came to live with us when I was 9 years old. Told me great stories of how I would be disowned and sent to an orphanage or go to hell for my actions. I will never tell my family about her actions nor that I unplugged her oxygen tank one night. One of my uncles claimed this happened to him as well when he was younger and everybody essentially excommunicated him. I would have confided in him as well, but he killed himself before I had the courage to do it. 'Twas I who went inkle on my brother's bed, not a cat. When my mom died, I was given her wedding ring. The wedding ring her and my dad shared. I was 16. Whenever I missed her, I would hold it and think of her. My family sucks and my dad is an abusive piece of. He kicked me out at 19 for speaking out about the abuse. And my boyfriend walked out on me after 3 years about a year later. I used the ring to pay for rent when I had a mental breakdown and couldn't find a decent paying job. I know I didn't do anything wrong and that it was a good decision. I just can't imagine telling my family and getting verbally abused for it when I was on my own and no one who should have been there for me was. I want it back. It made me feel close to her. But sometimes life just sucks, I guess. It's almost like your mom was looking out for you in the worst of times. Even after she was gone, she managed to take care of you. My address and phone number. That I know that they've been tapping into my credit since at least 2010. I'm waiting on the detailed credit report to come back in the mail. I couldn't get it online because I don't know what companies my mortgage and car loans are with. Soon, I'll be making a surprise 10 hours drive to their house to get their bull taken off my record. Taking my cat. When I was 5 or 6, my brother was hit by a firework on his neck. Every time we talk about it I say yeah, I don't remember much but I remember everything, and he doesn't, as I'm pretty sure he passed out for a while. Scariest of my life as I can recall having to get my dad. And his screams are the worst thing I've ever heard, and I hope I'll never have to hear something like them again. But that was a while ago now, so it's cool. Edit. I posted this about 1 AM and went to sleep. So only now getting to answer your questions. And his screams are the worst thing I've ever heard, and I hope I'll never have to hear something like them again. No kidding. Something about seeing a father break down emotionally and go from the stalwart bastion of machismo to a crying wreck chills to the bone. I've seen my father do it twice and both times still haunt me. My tattoos. If my sweet Mormon parents knew, it'd break their hearts. Carefully placed tattoos and the right clothes will keep my secret. I don't have a university degree. I lie on my first job. And then with experience nobody knows. That my neighbor as a child coerced my sister into sex acts, and when I found out I beat him until he had to more or less crawl home. He moved away the next week. I'm pretty sure my sister never found out I did that. And I don't think I'll ever tell her. Took a semester off school to travel Europe for 6 months. Had a friend cover for me and say we were roommates, and occasionally voice called my parents to let them know how I was doing through Skype. I didn't have the heart to tell them I needed a break, and I knew they wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. I took the money I had for that semester and used it to pay for my airfare and stay for 3-4 months. I backpacked and paid very little, but gained a lot. The neighbor was more than just my babysitter. Your siblings' babysitter as well? None of them are going to find out about my vasectomy. I don't want anyone to realize that the family line is basically a dead end. But I ain't no puppy mill. My genetic information ain't that special. I've done a male striptease online. Got paid $450 when I was chubby. That I ate some magic mushrooms. Broke into somebody's house and told them to call the police. And they came and ended up tasing me and tackling me and bringing me to the hospital. When I was in early high school, our family cat died. She was about 16 years old. I wanted to bury her in a remote area of the backyard where she had spent so much time. But Dad insisted that our cat's remains be placed in the trash and taken away when he wasn't looking. I removed her corpse from where he had placed it in the trash and dug a grave far out of sight, but still on our property, made a small marker. 2. It felt like the right thing to do, even if Dad thought otherwise. They never knew that we had our own little pet cemetery. I'm glad you were able to give your cat, who was part of your family for such a long time, a respectful burial. That my father and uncle up-headed me when I was 6. They have both committed suicide now. Psychological, physical, and sexual abuse have run in this family for generations. It's not allowed to be talked about. When my aunt was young, she told teachers about her father upping her, and the family was very upset that she told, not at all upset that it was happening. That my oldest son died in prison and not in a hunting accident. He made a mistake that got him sent to prison and committed suicide. However, the majority of my family is severely Mormon and looks down on that. So, I basically copied how Baratheon died in GOT when I told them what happened. No sense in them looking down on him for things that they have no business knowing. Only person that knows is his stepmother, because we had to pay for an attorney to try and keep him out of lockup. Hey mom, you know that gas smell you found in my room one night? Yeah, as it turns out I was a bit of an arsonist for a bit. In middle school I realized I didn't have to pretend to get people to like me. So I would just be myself. That is until my mom picked me up one day crying, saying, actual quote, "It's like the light has gone out in you." So that is the day I learned to fake my entire personality to fit other people. And I will keep doing it to make them happy. When I was 12, I attempted suicide by jumping off a radio tower near my house. I was climbing up, but about a third of the way up, I lost my grip and fell. I broke my kneecap and my ankle. I couldn't stand up, much less climb back up. So I just crawled about a kilometer back to my house. Parents were away, and I was home alone. I just laid in bed for 2 days. I told them I had slipped down our staircase when they asked. I still have knee problems. When I was in kindergarten I had a girlfriend and we would make out under our blankets during nap time. Until she left me for that asshole Brian. Also when I was 9 my 12-year-old cousin would take me to the back of my aunt's dojo and make out with me. Can we talk about your aunt's dojo? That I had a miscarriage not too long ago. I've always wanted a child and it crushed me. Only my best friend and the father know. Not that he cared. He stopped talking to me when I told him and started sleeping with someone else. Who I just found out is pregnant. I've not been able to tell anyone else and hardly been able to talk about it. Eater. Thank you so much for all the kind words and suggestions. I appreciate it very much. More than you know. I am doing my best to keep my chin up and keeping myself distracted with Reddit and as many laughs as I can find. I'll get there. Just running into yet another bump in the road along the way. For those asking. I do have a good relationship with my mom, but I have not wanted to worry her with this and she would worry herself sick. That I am BS Zool and have tried a few different things regarding sex to find what I like. That I'm a total masochist and that has been a real struggle and a focus of my imagination since I was as young as 5. Full stop. I was camping with my family and we'd been out there for almost a week. It was morning and time to go find a tree to lean against while I did my morning business. Found a good one with a nice view. Got it done. And was on my way back to camp when my uncle's dog came and gobbled that up. He knew there was steak in there somewhere. He was a big lumbering lab and beloved family pet and my uncle let the bastard lick him on the face all the time. There was nothing to do. The damage was done. And I couldn't the little kids in the family know what dirty deed their devoted family companion had done. I often think if I were to die tomorrow, no one will have really known me. My thoughts, fears, dreams, feelings. No one knows. When my uncle killed his wife and 2 daughters, 16 and 19 years old, my family, only my father and his sister since they're everything left, agreed to basically remove my uncle from the family in their eyes. I was told he was no longer family and none of us should see him. I lied about my whereabouts and went to see him and talk to him one day. No one knows or will ever know. Guy was a psychopath. Kinda regret doing it. Me and one of my cousins were banging for close to a decade. Luckily no one got pregnant. Probably because we're both dudes. That is some great storytelling on only 3 sentences. That my antidepressants aren't working. My parents were hoping this one would finally be the one, but it's not. I give up. Don't give up. That after I got out of the military, my stepmother tried to seduce me and have an affair behind my father's back. I declined her offer and neither of us made an issue of it. A couple of years later she was diagnosed with renal cancer and died within a year of being diagnosed. I won't tarnish their memories of her with that secret. Once when I was 13 I stuck my finger up my butthole. Once. Too late to these threads as usual. So probably will remain unseen anyway. I bought a vibrating fleshlight. It was just a regular fleshlight with a small slot for the supplied vibrator. Naturally I put the vibrator up my butt and used the fleshlight normally. Then I couldn't get it out afterwards. It had gone right up there. I tried to poop it out and started prolapsing a little. So I freaked out and ran to the nearby ER to get it removed. Because of the batteries inside it was a serious deal. And it was right up there. So I had to stay in overnight and then have a procedure under general anesthetic. Cost a bunch of money and a bunch of innocence. This is exactly why nothing goes in my ass. That I'm a furry. No way, and I'm explaining any of that to my fam. I found out our uncle stole our car, so I beat him up and took half of his stuff. I even took his wife's DLDO and slapped him with it. My family would be horrified if they knew either side of the story. I feel like there are juggalos in your family. That happened. I have paid for sex often, which is legal where I live. I remember one family gathering where the subject was brought up as a matter of joke and my sister suddenly went all serious in her condemnation of and repulsion for those sick, dirty old men who engage in it. Sat next to her. 27 at the time. Trying very hard not to laugh. Don't want her or anyone in my family to find out. Though. I think I am transgendered. I am not certain as I am terrified to explore it to the point where I could know for certain. But my dad is one bad Bible group becoming the poster person for the fanatically religious and he would never stand for such a thing, and I don't think I can commit to the requirements that I would need to follow to transition. At least not while I am in contact with any of my family. I dropped out of 6th form college just 2 days after my 18th birthday. I kept telling my parents that I was studying in the college library, but I was at my friend's house watching Top Gear and playing Xbox 360 games. That I am a Redditor. That I finally love someone and he loves me. That the person they trusted to look after me when I was young was a pedophile and I found that out the hard way. I participate in gangbangs. That I'm not really their son. They don't know I was adopted. My family currently doesn't know I'm an atheist. I can't get up the courage to tell them because I don't know how they will react. I lost my virginity the day after my mom had a long conversation with me about making good relationship choices. Teen pregnancy. And how young I am. In high school, I accidentally ran over the family dog. Both of her back legs were broken and she herself. I dragged her into the middle of the driveway, crying, and called my dad to tell him I had found our dog hurt in the street. He came home and we took her to the vet. She was 12 years old and broken. We put her down. I never told a single soul that and no one saw me do it. My parents live in a rural area. I haven't even told my husband. I still cry sometimes. I'll take it to my grave. I've used my mom's DLDO. Repeatedly. Obviously I cleaned it. But I recognize the weirdness. I am a lady. That like 50% of my friends smoke weed and now I've tried it too. Sort of. How do you sort of try weed? What secret wouldn't I hide from my family? I have depression and anxiety that is mostly because of my relationship with my family. At its worst, I considered suicide and still sometimes have suicidal thoughts. I'm bisexual. When your family thinks that being a lesbian is just a phase, you can't really admit that you also have a thing for girls. I almost dropped out of college because of how many times I've failed a couple of classes. I was recruited to be an escort once when I was traveling. I actually briefly considered it because I really needed money at the time. But I really didn't want to lose my virginity to someone who was probably going to be old enough to be my grandpa. Also, human trafficking. I am the youngest in the family and hold a grudge for how they treated me when I was a kid. On the surface we're a happy family, but I'm practically estranged. Barely talked and haven't seen in over 2 years. And my life has never been better. Even well into adulthood they were a negative influence. Just don't like them very much. I planned my suicide but haven't gone through with it. My dad killed himself. Called the cops from a parking lot and was desperate for a police-assisted suicide. They tried really hard to talk him down. But he wasn't responding to his meds well. And honestly they didn't stand a chance. He put a bullet through his head when he finally realized they wouldn't. He then lived for another few hours. It went from a need of his to end things. To realization that things could have been put back on the tracks. He begged one of the officers. Before the ambulance arrived, but after firing a round into his brain. To no let him die. He realized way too late that things have the capacity to improve. But sometimes you just can't see the path. Don't go through with it. My twin sister. I'm a guy, and I had sex and fondling each other a lot as kids. And she kinda pimped me out to her friends. I don't regret it one bit. My mom and stepdad met because me and this other guy were really good friends and then they got married. We were more than just friends. We have to share a bedroom, you say? Good times. We had our parents convinced we had a contest to see who could get to sleep the earliest. My mom actually started serving dinner later and later to keep us out of the bedroom. I got a girl pregnant but she moved out of state. So instead of filing child support I send her money when she needs it. We are two-way different people and T-guy fathering the kid is awesome from what I'm told. That I am not going to vote for Trump. I dropped the I'm voting Bernie bomb on my uber conservative family recently. Don't make that same mistake. I get daily texts explaining how Bernie Sanders is going to turn America into a baby-eating, gay-worshipping, communist nation. I occasionally Google search forbidden PRN. This is full stop. Full stop. I have PTSD from 4 tours of war and hundreds of missions with special operations. I have more degrees than I know what to do with, but I avoid people because it hurts and no one understands. I have a kid with cancer that makes my life a living hell. Every day is a struggle. But I continue because that's what I'm supposed to do and people depend on me.